halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the speed metal kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It is Sunday night once again, and that does mean it's time for another edition of the Auburn Experience podcast. However, we're going to be doing things just a little bit different tonight. We'll tell you about how that's going to be different coming up here in just a second. But gear up, saddle up. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get into the Auburn Experience. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk, we share, we discuss, express our feelings about the Auburn Experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, might be, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today on this particular live Q&A time on our normal Auburn Experience live time. Yes, this is our normal scheduled time for those of you that are watching the live portion of this show. For those of you that are watching the replay or catching the recording audio, you are hearing a little bit different of the show. Don't panic. We're good. Austin's fine. Austin didn't burst into oblivion after what we all witnessed on Saturday. Actually, he's a little bit under the weather tonight. I don't know if he's even tuning in right now. He was not able to go this evening, so we are shifting gears, and we are going to have a special Q&A edition of the Auburn Experience podcast. We will be doing episode 144 tonight. For those of you that are aware of the schedule, we usually do these on Sunday nights. So since we can't do the official podcast episode this evening, you're stuck with me. Q&A time. So we need some responses from you, some takes from you. We're going to talk about what you want to discuss about tonight, and then we'll meet with Austin tomorrow for episode 144 officially and get into the big discussions about Bruce Pearl, Stephen Pearl. We'll talk about the game and breaking down the feelings about it, all the other Auburn Experience stuff as well in Auburn Potpourri. We can certainly touch on a few of those things this evening, but we do want to encourage you to join us for both of those editions tonight and tomorrow. So he is Austin is fine. It's just something got him at the end of the day here, and he could not shake it. He really was a trooper, though. Can I be honest with you guys? He was like, I can power through if we really have to do it tonight. And I was like, I don't want you to power through anything. I wanted him to make the call, and he is, I think, probably making the wise choice to heal up tonight, and I think we'll be fine and tomorrow. Anyway, there's the housekeeping stuff. You guys are going to take center stage. Let me ask you once, like we always ask you to do, let us know that you're here, and let's talk about where you guys are watching from, where you're checking in from. A lot of you have already done that for us. A lot of you are already greeting Devin with the proper term. She's here. Good to see you, Devin. What's cooking? Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. Neil's here. Good to see so many of our normal folks here. Corey. Who else? Did I miss anybody? I think I've seen the majority of people that have said hello at this point. So thank you guys for joining us and for your patience this evening with the change of things. And I just realized this light's off back here. I'm going to turn it on. Sorry. Oh, that's really bright now. Anyway, light on or light off? Y'all tell me. I don't know. That sometimes I like it on, sometimes I don't. That's what happens when Austin leaves me to my own devices on the Auburn Experience podcast show. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I don't know that anybody's going to want to take advantage of it tonight. I could be wrong. We're not going to probably do just long form calls this evening, but I will open up the phone line for everybody this evening since I've got the headphones on. If you would like to take advantage of it and come talk about anything, discuss anything, a little bit more detail. Usually this is a great space for, after what we've been through this past week and weekend, to come explain your point a little bit more detail. So it's not pinned up at the top. If you can't find it, let me know. I can let you have access to it. I just asked, as we always use, that you represent yourself and Auburn well, not just in the comment section, but also when you call in tonight. And I know when feelings are raw, we certainly can say some things. All right, let's see here. Let's start rolling through a few of the things. Devin gets us started this evening for the first question, starting off with a serious question. Lord help my soul. If we lose to Georgia, do you think Hugh gets fired? And do you think he should be? Devin, my stance has always been the same on this one. I think head coaches should be given a minimum of 4 years outside of extenuating circumstances. So when I say extenuating circumstances, that's different for everybody. And sometimes that can be different for me year to year. If I think there is a better body of work to go off of than another one, you'll probably find me still hitching my wagon to the rest of the wagon, whatever the phrase is. Basically, it's a year-to-year type of thing, but I do try to give people 4 years minimum to get their full product out there on the field. So I've never been one that really entertains these types of notions, and I know that's a very popular notion right now. One thing that I will say is, aren't we all just kind of getting tired of this? The same old song and dance through 2 to 3 years, and we're talking about firing a head coach. Like, I mean, at some point, I think we all have to realize maybe we're doing it the wrong way. I don't know. I did see there's a great point that was brought up. Gone are the days of the Shug Jordans. If you look at some of Shug Jordan's tenure, sometimes during his tenure, he would not have survived in this age. He absolutely, would have gotten fired. People would have just, I don't know if this is in the proper, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. That's not a proper term, probably. He would not have survived as a head coach in today's instant gratification age. So I don't think he should be if he lost to Georgia, because I think those are all very respectable losses and very, reasonable losses. Now, if we were talking about 3 losses to Missouri, to Kentucky, to Vanderbilt, certainly, then if those were the 3 losses we were talking about, I think we can certainly have discussions about those types of things. I know that's probably not going to be, the last time we talk about that this evening. So we'll come back around to it. This is from Neil. Kyle, I was watching another live earlier today. They talked about an anonymous source that ripped our current head coach. It irks me that the person was not actually named. Look, I have anonymous sources as well. I am not a well-sourced person. Like, my sources are limited, but I do get little grumblings, and they have a right to keep them anonymous. I think you always have to keep in. I think maybe this is what you're getting at, Neil, if I'm understanding your comment, your question. Just talking about the idea of throwing this out there without actually naming your source. I think you always have to keep in mind, as content creators, our job is to get you to click. Our job is to get you to keep staying tuned. And sometimes you play into those things. Some people do, at least. I try not to. I try to be a little bit of a contrarian person, not just for the sake of being contrarian, but because I think you need to be well-rounded in your discussion points. So maybe a little bit more clarity there, Neil, about if you're just bringing up the comment in general. I think that is interesting. That I'm not shocked. How about that? That somebody has a source they're not one to name, and they suddenly have always ripping the head coach. Let's see here. For those of you who don't know, we have a challenge here on the show. Of every time Devin, one of our regular listeners, enters the chat, because it feels like she's always in the kitchen, we say, "What's cooking to Devin?" For those of you that are new, who are listening on the audio portion, all that kind of stuff, we love to say that. Yeah, hate this from Devin as well. Hate anonymous sources. They mean nothing. If you have something worth saying, put your name behind it. I agree in sentiment of that, Devin. I do also believe that you kind of have to keep those anonymous sometimes. I've thrown you guys some tidbits in the Conquer Club before. And, I've not said exactly who that's coming from, but what I think you have to do is trust who it's coming from, and trust that they have done their due diligence to back that up, if that makes sense. It's an interesting way. I didn't think we were going to go that way this evening. This is from Neil. Coach Freeze has a 6-year contract. I don't want to see him fired. Let him coach. Listen, here's the thing. Coach Freeze has full ability to shut the narrative down right now. And so I think that's important to say. I think that is important to acknowledge as well, that the ball is in his court to shut all this down. And if he can, put together the rest of a great season. I think it's also interesting to me. People are acting like you just lost to a old Vanderbilt, not this day and age Vanderbilt. That you lost to Mercer. But none of those things have happened yet. Let's just take a step back, chill out, and let the season play out. That will all take care of itself. Yeah, and I thought that's where you were going with your comment, Neil. I just wasn't sure exactly where we were heading with that one, so I was trying to stay above board on all that kind of stuff. But anyway, all right, I'm getting a little bit behind in the chat. I see we've already got a super chat I need to thank for. WT says, I have an anonymous source for my beer. I think a lot of people have an anonymous source for that. Stan, good to see you. War Eagle, thanks for checking in with us. We got a lot of conversation about food in the chat tonight, and y'all are making me really hungry. That is not the way I saw this chat going this evening, but I love it. That's awesome. We got to give a big shout out to Rodney for the big old super chat right there. Rodney, thank you so much for supporting what we do. And I joke all the time, folks, for literally keeping the lights on. You can kind of tell if you've been paying attention, if you've been here a while, the lighting's a little bit different because my ring light that I use has gone out. It won't function properly and reliably anymore, and I'm about to buy a new one. So when I say you're literally keeping the lights on, tonight you are literally keeping the lights on. We are going to upgrade a little bit because of supporters like you. So thank you, Rodney. Know that your contributions to what we do are valued, but also are going to a good use as well. Keeping with Devin's comments here, I hope Hugh turns it around, but we have been seeing the same thing for 3 years now. So at what point do we say experiment over? Not sure I have a good answer. And I think it's important, if we're going to go with those narratives, Devin, that we need to have an answer then, because what just perpetuating that narrative and perpetuating that is it time to end the experiment without real solutions is what brought us Harsin. And we all recognize that, right? Like, we didn't have a real solution past Malzahn. And so here we are. I think I've been saying it for years. I know I sound like a broken record. It is high time people recognized that they are way too impatient. And I'm not saying everybody, you are 100% allowed to question, what are we doing? What's going on here? I got a lot of questions after yesterday. I got a lot of questions about what is happening with this offensive line. Some of you heard my commentary about that yesterday. I'm starting to buy into a theory that we were cursed by Calvin Ashley. I truly believe that. Now, not truly believe that. I am starting to put some legitimacy in that, because it's at this point, we got to figure this thing out. I don't know what's going on. Multiple coaches, multiple head coaches, multiple line coaches, multiple recruits. Oh, we just can't figure it out. We still can't figure it out. All right, let's keep rolling here. See what we've got in the chat. Do I think the season is cooked? I'm worried about the guys jumping in the portal. Anthony, why are you worried about people jumping in the portal? People are going to jump in the portal, whether you have in fact, people are just as likely to jump in the portal if you're having a great season and they realize they're not going to get any more playing time and they want to go somewhere else, so they get their playing time. I encourage you to do this. Get off the message boards if you are. Stop worrying about recruiting and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying you don't be interested in things like that, but too many people just live and die by that. I used to as well. Don't be worried about these things. They're going to take care of themselves. Let the coaches coach. I don't think if you think the season's cooked, Anthony, we gotta reel that back in a little bit. Neil says, I will say Auburn's defense give me hope. And we put out a clip yesterday from one of your comments as well, acknowledging that. The defense, I think what's funny. So yesterday, a lot of people, and this morning were saying, off of my comments off of that, how can you say 400 yards of defense is a good showing? Did you check the scoreboard? You can have all the yards in the world, but if you can't get in the end zone, that doesn't matter. So you got to give credit where credit is due. And yeah, so there were some penalties for Texas A&M. You do realize that those penalties happen because they're playing against a great defense as well. So people just want to kind of pick and choose their narrative to help, sprinkle something here. The defense was good. The defense was good. Now he says the Auburn's offense not as far off. It's little things, fix the O-line. That's a big thing, Neil. I think we both agree with that. I've already said my piece on that. I'm sure I'll have to say it again at some point about the offensive line. Let's see here. I noticed when you got here, you turned on the lamp, my contribution to keeping the lights on. Yeah, I forgot about that. That one works, though. The one in front of me that lights my ugly mug up is a little bit more is not as good. Neil, don't get me started on this, all right? It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. For those of you that have been here for a while, you know what I'm referring to there. Okay. Yeah, let's tackle this one. So this Devin, I think, is kind of following up on Neil's comments about the run game. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Once again, I just ask everybody to realize the coaches aren't trying to lose the game. So if they're not running the ball, there is a reason for that. Now, coach in his post-game remarks, second week in a row, has said probably should have run the ball more. Hopefully this is the time that it sticks after this game that, yeah, maybe we do need to go back to the run. But let me be honest with you guys. And please, for those of you that are friends, family of the offensive linemen, please don't hear in my words here that I think the offensive linemen are of no value, things like that. Did you have confidence really that offensive line was going to establish a run when they were playing that bad in the pass block? I don't. I really don't. So I don't think it really mattered. It was just a terrible, terrible game all the way around. First of all, we don't have a good offensive line coach. Well, no, I mean, I think, Donald, you can't just say that off of one game. And where we're going with that, Donald, is he needs to be fired. I think that's kind of where that comes from. We've done that. We've fired assistant coaches. We've fired head coaches. We've changed schemes. We've recruited well by people's standards. We've gotten the recruits, the transfer portals that everybody wanted, everybody praised, and everybody screamed about, and you would have screamed at the head coaches had they not got them, whether their name was Xavier Chaplin, whether their name was Percy Lewis, whether their name was XYZ. I don't have the answers, but I'm not the one calling for a change like that. Let's see here. Neil says, look at Georgia Tech. They have no one with a capital there of high quality, and yet they're ranked at 15. I haven't looked at their quality, as you say, to see if there is no one there. But I can fairly assume that Auburn's rankings, once again, we don't obsess. I preach about not obsessing over recruiting rankings here. Coaching helps that, but just a team being really well gelled together helps that as well. Yeah, listen, it does feel like a curse, doesn't it? Sometimes, whether it's left guard, right guard, all these things, it's been rough no matter what. Just been rough either. Devin says, that's what's frustrating to me, but Kyle's right. These were always going to be tough games. I have little hope, but I can't bring myself to throw in the towel yet. And that's the mark of a good Auburn fan there. If you're not throwing in the towel, you're a good Auburn fan. You're battle tested. You're ready to roll. Rodney says, why do other programs figure out what they need and start winning? Auburn hasn't figured it out in the last 8 years. We have Lamadi voodoo curse on us. Is that some type of legit curse, Rodney? Yeah, listen, maybe it's time to start entertaining some of these crazy wild notions that there are curses on us. I don't know. What I can tell you this, and no one seems to want to rationalize with it, because I think it takes some of the power from us as fans and consumers, in terms of it's just not going to get fixed that quickly. Some people still don't want to hear it. You made a decision you didn't need to make in 2020, especially with NIL coming right around the corner, that really put you behind the 8 ball. Really did. And sometimes it just takes a little bit more. James says we need better quarterback play. What is my take, sir? And keep in mind, folks, I know that most people want to talk football this evening. This is a live Q&A time, not necessarily the Auburn Experience live recording that we're normally doing. I know that's what the title says. We are just doing a Q&A this evening because my co-host Austin is out. So we're right at the 20-minute mark. So that was a perfect time just to remind you guys of that, that we're just kind of taking some commentary mainly from y'all this evening. We're going to do the main show tomorrow, I believe at 2 Central, 3 Eastern time, as long as Austin's feeling up to it. So let's take this from James. We need better quarterback play. What's your take, sir? I think we need better play all the way around. We got phenom wide receivers dropping balls that are hitting them in the hands. We've got offensive linemen that are struggling, to put it bluntly, and the most easiest fashion. We've got a quarterback that is starting to probably develop some bad habits because of the lack of support there, because he drops back in barely 2 seconds is having his arm reach for, they're getting their hands up, batting down passes. Yes, he needs to improve his play as well, but people also need to recognize we've been saying that for the last couple of years. Have you seen the theme here? The same things are said by fans over and over again. We need a different quarterback. We need a new assistant coach. We need a new transfer. We need a new, just have some patience. That's all. That's my biggest theme. You're going to hear me say a lot tonight. What do we got here? How is recruiting O-line that hard? Do we need to start in, this is from Neil, do we need to entertain the curse? I don't know. Richard, I think it's a little bit too early to be questioning whether we're going to make a bowl game or not. I just want to put this into perspective again, because I know we're getting some people who are checking in on the later side of things here. You lost to Oklahoma and Texas A&M, 2 top 10 teams. I'm not saying you are, Richard. A lot of y'all are acting like we just lost to 2 nobodies. Now, that last game really puts into perspective how not as good we were as we thought we were at the start of the season. But some people need to put this into perspective and just take a deep breath. Let's keep scrolling here. Where are we at here? We're living in the twilight zone where Mississippi State and Vandy have surpassed Auburn and Florida. Yeah, keep in mind, there's some other teams in there that were supposed to be having good years and are not as well. So it's an early season. We'll see if who all can turn it around. Here's a good perspective from Neil. Kyle, you know what's crazy? You and I have seen AU win a national championship in our lifetimes. Half the SEC can't say that. Well said. Well said. Always need to remind that. Good shout out for the volleyball team here from Devin. I love that. Now, Devin, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not kept up with them as much as I need to. We're doing our best. We forgot last week to do an update on them, and I hate that. We want to try to keep a portion, even if it's just for a minute or two, mention the other fall sports that are going on, and that falls on me for not prioritizing that and having. I had it in my list, and I just forgot about it. Yeah, so far it's off to a great start. We lost 2 matches, I believe, in non-conference. 9-2, I think is what it was. I could be wrong. Starting SEC play has been pretty good for the most part. We beat Alabama to start off the year, and I believe we won today, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, off to a great start with the volleyball year. Let's see how it started. Great in SEC play as well. Upset of Kentucky volleyball, which was a big deal. I was there for that one last year. Let's see how it progresses through the rest of this. And I think this is the first year that they're going to have not the first year. First year back having an SEC volleyball tournament, which would be really fun to watch. I think I really love the sport. Let's see here. This is from Richard. I love hearing from these type of perspectives. So thank you for sharing this, Richard. It makes me really jealous when everybody gets to go and I don't. And so when I hear so what Richard's saying, I guess I should read the comment. Great experience at Kyle Field. Had to take a double take there. Thought you were talking about me. I will say the fans were very welcoming. I appreciated the welcoming environment. Great post there, Richard. I love hearing about experiences. And I love hearing that Auburn people had great experiences as well at other schools. I'm not shocked that Texas A&M did that for the most part. There's a bad parts of every fan base, but I have gotten the impression since Texas A&M has arrived here that they're just happy to be here, and they're in a cult and they're fine with it. They recognize it. Everyone I've talked to and asked, hey, listen, yeah, we know we're in a cult. We don't care. It's like, as long as you're healthy, it's healthy as long as you acknowledge it and you're safe. But I'm not shocked with my interactions with them at Auburn and just out and about that you had a good experience. So thank you for confirming that that carried over even with the environment there, even in a very frustrating game. They have to wonder, how did we get away with that one? I mean, the answer is pretty obvious, but that was almost as embarrassing for them too. This from Mark, and this is just football, right? Without adequate trench play, recurring issue, we'll keep having the same problems. No notes. I need to start just saying that. No notes. Just well said, Mark. Neil, I love this. I don't believe in curses. I've seen the Chicago Cubs win a World Series. That's the thing about curses. They're supposed to end, but boy, it never feels like it will when you're in the middle of it, doesn't it? Do you really think that A&M is a top 10 team? Based off the polls, I do. Based off that one singular performance, no. But that's the great thing, and I think that's why it's important to talk not just with emotions, but the full context of their story. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not a bad team. Now, they played one less game than everybody else, so they need a more full body of work like we currently have. We're off this week. But based off all of the information, not just one really bad game for them, yeah, they're a top 10 team. It goes both ways. Let's see here. WT says it was instant success with St. Gus that spoiled the fans and doesn't allow the coach the time to work. I do think that a little bit of that is at play, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. Let's keep rolling here. This is from Rhyming Lemon. What's up? College Station in person is a wonderful place to visit. Austin is not, especially if you're a Sooner. Thank you for hanging out with us. You're one of the holdovers from Sooner Week that we've appreciated hearing perspectives of, and so I do appreciate you coming back. So there's another one. So Auburn fans, we've got Auburn people saying it here. We've got Oklahoma people saying it here that they like visiting College Station. We won't get to find out the Texas angle of whether or not it's a good thing for a while. Was it 2028? 9? I can't remember. I'll have to go look at it. By the way, just as a programming note, so obviously we're doing the Q&A tonight as opposed to the full episode. We're going to push the SEC schedule talk to next week because of everything else that transpired this week while they were trying to kill me. What's Soonering? That's funny. All right. I have caught up in chat. Keep the questions and comments coming. Keep in mind, this is the Auburn Experience show, so we can talk about anything in the Auburn Experience, sports, culture, family. It doesn't have to be current events. If you just want to ask my opinion about something in general that's not even pertinent to right now about Auburn, that is fair game. I will post it once more. I don't expect anybody to use it, but I like to give you the option. There is a call-in link available. If you'd like to call in, ask a more thorough question, spend some time explaining your point, it is available to you this evening because we had to cancel the main show this evening due to Austin being sick. But we wanted to give you an opportunity to utilize that if you'd like. So it's in the chat right now. Don't be shy. You can pop in here and be on camera, off camera if you'd like to. No pressure, though, tonight. There is pressure on Auburn Family Night. We got to hear from you guys there because that's really when the space is dedicated to you all. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? There's stuff outside of football. There's stuff outside of sports. We can keep talking through some of these things, certainly, but we're going to keep rolling with what you guys put out there tonight. No disrespect, Kyle, but I like my opinions better. Well, that's the great thing. We all have opinions and we all don't think they stink, but to most people, everybody outside of us, they usually do. So as long as you recognize that, because I know my opinions stink outside of myself usually, but for some reason you all keep coming back and I don't know why that is. I'm just thankful for it. From Neil, I have lots of Texas A&M friends. They're just as cynical as AU fans. Well, maybe we're all cut from the same cloth. It is interesting. Hunter, who's a viewer here, I haven't seen him pop in tonight. He is very much part of, he subscribes to the idea that there's a lot of good rivalry connective tissue between Texas A&M and Auburn. Really would like them to be considered more on the same level or as part of a rivalry. And that may lead into kind of what you're saying here to Neil. I almost called him Texas for some reason, but ag based, obviously, ag history, all that kind of stuff. Now, we don't like the history of them, being connected with Bear Bryant, but Corey says, where is the equestrian field at? I was looking for it while I was down there. Great question, Corey. So if you are going, let's say you're coming from campus on Wire Road, right where it connects with Sanford. So leaving, you pass the softball fields, you're passing the gas station right there before you get to Sanford and continuing on Wire Road like you're just going away from campus. It will be on your left, right across from the vet building. So it is way back there. It's easy to miss it if you're just going straight ahead. But if you look to your left, you'll see all these horse fields. I guess I should just call them fields, but there's horses in them. Horses. And then a giant pavilion for their part of their events. They've got 2 other areas in the front and in the back they utilize for the different events they do. But it's back there, and I highly, highly recommend you go check it out on a equestrian day. It's kind of like a track and field meet where there's a lot going on. Not necessarily all at once. In fact, there's kind of a delay, I think, through most of the events, but it feels like that. There's a lot of chatter, there's a lot going on. It's very family friendly. They've got, sometimes at least I've seen, ability for you to go ride some of the other horses that aren't being used out there. It can get really pretty out there too. So definitely go check it out if you can. They are just now in season. What else? Stan says, even though he disagrees with my opinions, because we like you. Well, again, I don't know why you do, but thank you. That's all I'm going to say on that. I guess I should just take the compliment and run with it. Let's see here. Corey says, I passed Sanford to go to the parking lot next to where the band practices. Yeah, that's another thing too. If you guys haven't done that on game days, that's a really fun thing to do, is to go, you got to get up in the morning early sometimes to go see the band actually practice and get really good close-up look of everything and get to hear Dr. Sperlin sometimes loudly giving out directions. But usually as the year goes on, they're getting way more polished, and they're pretty polished to start with as well. I enjoy going there. We didn't go for the last game because it was a morning game, but I anticipate going back on 2 weeks, well, less than 2 weeks now, to see them in the morning again. I was going to say something here, but I need to hold off until I actually check on if we can or can't do some things. But anyway, there's a lot to do in Auburn outside of football, and I hope that you guys are taking in the fullness of the Auburn experience. What do we got going on here? Neil says, I talked to a Bama buddy of mine a few weeks ago after FSU beat Bama. He said, Gus is my worst nightmare. I can understand that. I can certainly understand that. I'm proud of that it's their nightmare. One of the reasons maybe we should have. I'll stop going there. During the week, the band is practicing at 4. Yeah, I've never been out there during the week. I was more talking about the game day practice, the morning practice, but that's good to know for those of you that are in the area. And I'm pretty sure that you can probably walk up for that too, unless they are trying to they're trying to keep something under wraps like they have in the past. This seems like a big topic here, so let me cover this part right here. I missed the majority of the shows from Rhyming Lemon. I apologize. Are there rumblings that Jackson Arnold is getting bitched? There's always rumblings that something is going to happen. It's going to be a long 2 weeks. People are going to be trying to say, my source told me this. Somebody acknowledged that my source told me this, that. Everybody just take a deep breath, let it play out. Let's see what the rest of the season done. Because here's the thing, for those of you that want somebody benched, somebody fired, if it continues the way it did after this, it's going to happen. So no amount of calling for it, fretting for it is going to change that. But no, Rhyming Lemon, at this point, there's nothing that I have heard of any legitimacy. That sounds like message board fodder. Let's come back to this question. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Bruce Pearl retiring? I was on vacation when he announced. Yeah, definitely go back and check out if you can. I don't know if you have, but we did a quick reaction to all of that the day it happened. Austin and I plan on spending a lot of time discussing that tomorrow, Lord willing, and he feeling better tomorrow for a record of the actual episode 144 of the Auburn Experience podcast, since we're in Q&A time. Real quick, I'm not shocked. I was not ready for him to go, but who really was? I was having a conversation this evening with somebody, a fellow Auburn fan, just out and about, and he and I both agreed that we're really excited about Stephen Pearl. I get that people think that there's maybe some things to be worried about there. I think that is just the Auburn way sometimes, but I'm really excited about it. I'm so glad that he is wanting to still be connected with Auburn, wanting to still help, to be an ambassador. I'm thankful that he was very honest with himself and the program and said, I don't have it in me. I think that goes a long way to building some respect too. So just some quick hitting things. Also from Neil on football, I'm glad AU's cut back on turnovers. Outside of that second game, it hadn't happened. Now, let me to be fair, Jackson has thrown a couple balls that should have been intercepted. Thankfully, they weren't. To be fair on both sides of that. Oh, great point, Corey. So what does Senator at Auburn mean? I think he said that because just playing off of the thing. When he did his announcement, Bruce Pearl, of I'm retiring, he acknowledged that, look, a lot of you have thought that I would go into politics, and I have prayed and thought about that, and I've decided that for me to do that, I would have to leave Auburn, and I'm not ready to do that. Or leave Auburn in the sense of he would not be here that much. It sounds like he wants this to be his permanent residence forever, maybe. And it doesn't surprise me the amount of head coaches that have residents still here. Shouldn't shock you that he wants to do that as well. Auburn's a great place, and I don't even live there yet. I hope to someday. But Senate, I think it was more playing off of that and more than anything. Devin says, I'm excited to take my dad to the Iron Bowl. My excitement has waned a little bit after the last games. My dad is pretty frustrated with things, so hopefully he appreciates the surprise. Hopefully, if he's a true Blue Auburn fan, which I trust he is, he'll be able to remove the feelings of the team and be excited about just coming to Auburn in general. It's always a good time to come to Auburn, no matter what the football team is doing. I promise. And I think he probably believes that in his heart of hearts as well. Now, here's the thing, Devin, to think about, and I've already checked myself. One good thing about if this goes the way that some people want it to go, because I truly believe some people want to go that way so they can have their wish of getting rid of Hugh Freeze, ticket prices should drop. Now, they haven't. Since I checked last night, they have not. So I don't know if you've gotten those tickets, but good luck with that. Because it's going to be tough. Stan, in reference to Stephen Pearl, he thinks we got Bruce 2.0. I think that's the hope. I mean, you'd think it would work, right? He literally was the second in command to everything. did what Bruce was known for, the defensive. Do you think Auburn's played really good defense over the last several years in terms of basketball? You should. Do you know who is in charge of that? Stephen Pearl. Do you know who is in charge of the offense? Mike Burgomaster. Right now, he's still here. I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy in it. From WT, Kyle, what are your thoughts on prohibiting Austin from Auburn basketball games so that he does not taint the first season of Stephen Pearl? I'm glad that everybody's calling him SP now, but I'm still not used to it. I keep thinking Scott Van Pelt, even though that's SVP, but I'll get used to it eventually. BP, I'm used to. SP, I'm just not used to it yet. You know, I would love to say I believed in that curse, but there's just not a lot of facts to back up that anymore. So I don't know that I can fairly stick that on Austin. But if he's going to be this sick, he can't go. Corey, I think we all wanted to see Bruce get a natty before he retired. But once again, I take a lot of respect away, and not away. I give him a lot of respect for being so honest and wanting what's best for Auburn. And if he can't give Auburn his best, that I appreciate him being willing to say that. Yeah, Devin, you and I talked about this on I think the live stream after that day. If you have not watched the press, you want to know how many times I ask you guys here to watch the press conferences that we provide for you through the athletic department. I know some of you watch them directly when they go live and stuff like that. I get that, and there are other places you can get them too. But please, if you do nothing else of all the things that I ask you to do for our content, whatever, please take the time to go watch and or just listen to the press conference. You will do yourself such a world of good to get context, remove the chatter and the emotions of message boards and social media if you'll just go listen to everything in its context. But one you should be doing is the Stephen Pearl press conference. It is an hour long. It's the longest opening press conference that I'm aware of that I have done since I've been doing this for the better part of a decade. It was outstanding in every way. Was he maybe coached? Yeah, I bet he was, but he took the coaching. Has he maybe thought about this and prepared for this moment? Probably, and I'm glad he did, and it showed. Go watch that press conference. It's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Keep in mind, the phone lines are open if you'd like to utilize them. It's not a big thing tonight, but since we are missing the main show, I did want to leave that space open for you all if you wanted to utilize it this evening. Rhyming Lemon. I'm not surprised we're getting this question. Answer a question for me that you probably have been asked a million times. Is Auburn an Eagle or the Tigers? From the outside, this is confusing. Let me add to your question, as I always do, and you probably heard me say this before. Why is it any more confusing than Crimson Tide and an elephant? Why is it any more confusing than Vols and a dog, or Aggies and a yell leader? a collie. We are the Auburn Tigers. Aubie is our mascot. He's the greatest mascot there is. He's a real tiger. Prove me wrong. You can't. I promise you can't. Many have tried and they failed. Without incurring some type of issues. We say War Eagle because there are a bunch of different fables about how this happened. The university has about 4 that's inside the student center too. I've seen them posted up that people subscribe to. It basically has to deal with someone's pet eagle that started flying around at one of the games, and Auburn won that game, and because they felt like they started chanting War Eagle. That's the gist of it. I'm leaving so many angles of it out. It's just no different than that. Okay, let me skip ahead a little bit. I'm trying to look and see if there was anything specific people pointed out directly at me here. Neil with a good question here about me personally. Kyle, what year did you get into Auburn football? I remember going to games with my family in the 1980s. Since birth, my man, since birth. But seriously, I've said this recently, and it's sad because of this week, all the things that happened. We lost Rudy Johnson. the great Auburn running back who's both known for Rudy Johnson. Rudy Johnson. Rudy Johnson. Sorry, that was terrible. He is that play that I remember watching when the first time I sat down and said, okay, I'm not just going to be a fan by association. I'm not just going to be an Auburn fan because I'm associated. I'm going to sit down and watch this game and really be ready to talk about it the next day. And I was 12, 13, maybe 12. And that was the game, the Auburn-Wyoming game. So that is probably truly when you could say my fandom, my true fandom began. But since birth, as the kids say. Okay, I do need to skip ahead. How many let me just do these fast. How many of the coaches is Stephen replacing with who he wants? Make sure you watch the press conference. He explains the whole thing. Not a dang one of them. Not a dang one of them right now. Let's see here. Rodney, yes, there's that whole thing with the first mascot. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm just not as well informed about the whole story of that. So that's why I blow past that one normally. But I remember you bringing that one up to me. I feel like I will not do the justice of telling that story well enough. And I don't want to do this. I don't want to do injustice to it. Does that make sense? I feel like I need to be more well informed on that before I speak on that. But thank you for carrying that torch for us so well here in the chat. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Am I for banning Austin? Are we taking a vote on this? Is that what's happening in the chat? Man, dang, Austin, you're gone for one day and it's tough. Neil says, Kyle, I was brought up on the Auburn and Georgia Tech. I was brought up in an Auburn and Georgia Tech home. Engineering. We're still better. Kyle didn't get a chance to see a real bruiser in the backfield. I am sure that I was watching games, not games. Never mind, because I wasn't alive yet. But games of him in the pros, Dad probably showed me. One of the coolest gifts that I ever got from my father, in a sad way, but also in a beautiful way, was after he had passed away. Sorry for those of you if I've told this story before. It was about, so he passed away in November, just before the Iron Bowl, and actually before the Georgia game too. So the last Georgia game and Alabama game he saw were the prayer and Jordan Heron kick six. He would be very upset if I didn't say this, that didn't matter to him in the grand scheme of things, only that he was right with his Savior for the entirety of his life. That's probably the entirety of my life, but on his deathbed, that was the most important thing. But as the Auburn side of things, certainly you can appreciate why that was so special. He got a Bo Jackson little flip notebook thing signed for me a long time ago as a Royals. I believe it's a notebook, and I think it was a Royals notebook. And right inside the cover is a signature to Kyle Bo Jackson. I had no clue that was there, because the reason we found it is we were going through so many of his things, obviously. That's part of the sad process of when someone passes away, just to, see what we need to keep, what we don't. Can somebody put something to good use? And he had a lot of he was a pack rat, and we found that in there. And I found it was either right before my birthday or on my birthday. I was there for a birthday weekend, with my first birthday without my dad. And it was really special, really, really, really special. And I'm so grateful that my dad was able to still give me a birthday present, even after he passed away. So that was really awesome. Sorry to get all sentimental, but that's what we're doing here in the Q&A time. And that comment, I don't know what had to do with it, but it was up there the whole time. People sharing stories. My mom was in class with Pat Sullivan and Terry Beasley. Saw Elvis as well. That's really cool. Yeah, definitely, Rodney. I'm always, for those of you that see, these books have not been read all the way through yet. I had this really cool idea at one point that I wanted to do a book club with some people, like, and just let's all read it together, even if you've read it, and just talk about it. I don't know that anybody would find that interesting, but I can tell you this: the wild ideas that I have had, others have suggested as well for content here at E2C Network. They don't get lost. They just get put away until there's enough interest. There's enough interest from me, from someone else to do that, from the audience. So you can always speak up and speak your mind if that's something that you find interesting. Let us know. Okay. We are sitting right at 50 minutes on the stream. We started just about 1 or 2 minutes after 9 o'clock. I want to continue to leave some space here for you all to speak with me about whatever you want to discuss. So keep your comments and questions coming if you have any more. Remember, we've hit basketball, football. Doesn't mean we can't discuss them some more. But if there's anything else that you would like to discuss, please do drop that in the chat right now. Here's your reminder for this week. We are right now, this is a Q&A time, not the episode 144 of the Auburn Experience. I will change the titles and everything later this evening. Our plan right now is to record that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central. Now, I am planning on doing that live. We're going to see how Austin's feeling, see how if we can do the show at all. But we will get some type of show out this week, come HE double hockey sticks or high water, and get the discussion points of Bruce, of Steven. We'll talk about the game and plenty of the other Auburn potpourri stuff. So please do not miss out on that, even if it's just a recording that we put out and not the actual show. But I think we will go live at that time. Your normal scheduled program for this week is available. The Auburn Family Night Show, 9 Eastern time on Wednesday night is going to be live, ready October 1st. October's here, y'all. Join us for that, please. We will not have a preview and prediction show this week. I feel pretty confident that we can win the bye week. I know it doesn't feel like it. I feel pretty confident in it, though. And of course, we'll be back next Sunday with the Auburn Experience live podcast recording. And we'll definitely be doing the SEC schedules in that podcast and probably have a fun topic too, unless something big breaks this week, which Lord knows it might happen after this week. I was not anticipating this week. WT wants the name changed to not Auburn Potpourri, but Grab Bag. I told you, I don't think it's a bad suggestion. I'm just really fond of Auburn Potpourri right now. Maybe I'll change it. We'll see. Always remember this. When you make a suggestion here, we don't just, at least this is my policy. I'm not saying, there are some things I say no to because it's sometimes inappropriate. But I usually store those away, think about it. Your opinions are here to be valued, and we want to obviously give you the type of content you're looking for, and suggestions of you guys taking ownership in that is really good. Let's see here. Kyle's book club members, remember to bring your crayons. See, I can't really figure out how to make it work right now, but maybe someday we will be able to do something like that. Anything else that you guys want to talk about, discuss? Last chance. We have hit a lot of the big things. And I really do appreciate you guys tonight being very, we had a good variety of questions tonight. And for the pivot to the Q&A style show tonight, you guys didn't harp on the same things over and over again that people are just obsessing about on social media. I do appreciate that you got to say your pieces about them. But one of the things that I really value about you all as an audience is that you will try your best to not just be the typical social media audience, the typical message board audience, that you will try your best to embody and fulfill the fullness of the Auburn Experience here. And I do very much appreciate that. So please never not hear me saying that and appreciating that. Corey says, Kyle, don't be throwing rocks over the fence at me while I'm trying to work down there. Yeah, I know where Corey's at, so I could probably figure it out. I think somebody else could probably have a better chance of throwing rocks and hitting you, from what I understand. But I think you're getting a cool job done over there, Corey. Am I going to be Ubering the next home game? Well, it's always, if you mean by Ubering from the mobile broadcast studio, yes, we will be Ubering, if that's what you want to say. Now, I don't plan to ever be asked again, are you my Uber in the middle of a live show? Once again, somebody needs to go watch that one. I think it's the third game of the year last year, maybe second game, and find that and clip it for me, and we'll utilize it. Can I help you? Oh, that Austin's camera falling into his crotch, me messing up on saying our punter's last name, and that'll get WT stirred up right there. I'm trying to think of the other great moments as well. There's a couple from the very beginning of our history that will never ever see the light of day, cannot ever. But we've had some really good times here, folks, and y'all have been a big part of it, and I very much appreciate it. Let's put a bow on it there. I think that's been a really good show. I really have enjoyed doing the Q&A with you all this evening. So thank you so much for being here and participating tonight and giving me a lot of different things to think about, to talk about. It's kind of like an extra Auburn family night, and keep coming back to that. And this is the kind of stuff that you get into a lot there. So we want to continue to do that. Thank you guys for being here, participating, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. And as I always am trying to do now, to remind you that as you subscribe to the Auburn Creed, it does ask you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. War Eagle.